Hey there, guys. This is my character Yukinon in the game World of Warcraft. And you guys want to gather, catch, collect. Let's go with collect. The Lucid Nightmare mount. Big giant pain in the ass, but honestly, it's totally worth it. It is one of my most prized mounts that I have. A crap ton of work goes into it, and I am happy to share with you guys how I got it, because the information I found was there were some holes missing and some things, and I had to figure some stuff out on my own, which when I'm following a guide, I don't really appreciate that. But one thing you absolutely need is a shadow weave mask. You need that to complete one of the tasks, and the Lucid Nightmare helper, which was for me was incredibly helpful. You can use a pen and paper, but I highly recommend you get the add-on, which will be in the description below. There will be a link. So without further ado, let's get into this. Let's get going, because I love this mount. I love how it twirls. I love how you can see its hoof prints behind. It's a beautiful mount. So we're going to start here in Orgrimmar if you are Horde. You can start in Stormwind if you're Alliance. And we want to be able, or Ironforge. I haven't played as an Alliance since I came back. So, anyway, we are going to be looking for a shop called Curiosities and More. And upstairs, there's going to be a scroll on the table, which will start our wonderful Lucid Nightmare journey. So it's right here. Don't go the way I went. You can cut across and it'll be much faster. But there on the table, there it is. All lovely and looks like absolutely nothing. So if you click on it, it'll pop up a thing. You can close it, you can read it, do whatever you want with it. But now we're going to go back downstairs and we're going to go down into the under part. And we are going to take the portal to Wormrest, because now our second step is to go to Ulduar and complete a fun and lovely puzzle. And I apologize for having recorded my entire flight up to Ulduar. As far as I'm concerned, while editing everything else, I just cut it all out because I was using mostly flight paths. Because life happens, especially when you have a toddler. So, anyway, just fly up to Ulduar from Wormrest, and you'll get there eventually. As far as I'm aware, it does not matter what difficulty you go into Ulduar on. If you want to go in on 10-man or 25, it doesn't matter. So, whatever your preference, whatever you prefer. So you're going to come in here, and you are going to start you have to start the scenario, and you have to go through all the way to the other side. I've got my husband on his monk Zorak with me. I wasn't sure if I was going to actually need help with this first boss or not. I know I'm level 120 and this is a level 80 raid. I've had issues in the past, so I figured better to be safe than sorry. So you're going to go ahead and kill the first boss. And then you're going to head on to the boss in the back. You are going to bypass the two side bosses, because they don't matter. They're not going to impact anything. And once you get finished in this room, we'll call it, come up onto this mound of basically mechano trash, and you're going to click that little lever. And it's going to spawn all these little lights on the ground. Alright, so from all these lights on the ground, you're going to have to click certain ones. And there's a picture. There it is. All the numbers correspond to each light, not the square on the ground that you stand in. So we kind of screwed it up a little bit, and we kind of had to suffer the consequences of that. But we basically, our plan was to start out with the cross, first, the straight ones, and then once we got all of those done, we ended up going with the diagonals. So, do as I say, not quite as I do. Because this is us, we're plotting out all the squares, not the actual lights. So we were off by one row and we couldn't really understand why. And eventually my husband figured out. We clicked the last few ones, turn them on, and then once you finish all of them, which will happen here in just a minute.
It's too far away.
This part's a little bit time consuming, but once you get them all done, 4 red lights will spawn in the middle with the scroll in the center. And you're going to run over there and you're going to click on the scroll and then do with it what you will. You can read it, you can save the information, or you can just close it. It does not matter. And then next up is we are going to go from Zandalar and we are going to port out to Silithus. Now, if you don't have access to the BFA areas, that's totally okay. From Orgrimmar, if you're Horde, you can just port out to Uldum from the Valley of Wisdom, and you're going to fly up to AQ. So we want to be able to go into AQ 40. That is our goal. So AQ 40 is not that dungeon, but rather it's over here. So don't go in the one on the left. You definitely want to go to the right. And we are going to have to go into the entirety of AQ 40. And I believe we have to kill the last boss. I cannot confirm nor deny that right now because it's been so long since I ended up doing this. Shame on me. And I ended up pulling out one of my AQ 40 mounts. So that way, you know, I felt like I was in here. I should be riding on that guy. So you're going to come in through the main entrance, kill whatever mobs you feel like. I ended up going through and killing most things because I wanted the money and the stuff for it. So you're going to come into the building, and unfortunately, we have to go all the way down and all the way through because you cannot access the area that you need to without having gone through the entire raid. How many bosses you have to kill, I don't know for sure, but you cannot take that ramp all the way down and then go back into the building. You have to go around this raid clockwise. So like I said, go through, kill what you want to. You don't have to loot anything. At the bare minimum, I know there's some spots where you have to kill things, which is totally okay. So I pop myself back up right here at the end when you go back up the sand ramp. And then you'll find yourself in the proper part of the building. So you're going to come in. I chose to come in here and kill the boss, which you may or may not have to. Can't confirm that. But when you're done, you leave that boss room and you go to the left. You go past the NPCs, and up here is going to be a bug. Now this bug is going to start this like weird Bejeweled Candy Crush type game where you just have to match 3 or more in a row. And it took me about 20 minutes to do this. There are some dots on the ground. I feel like they're negligible. I don't entirely know what their purpose is. But after about 20 minutes, I ended up completing whatever this task was, which was to match them until you feel like you're going to go crazy. The scroll pops up on the table. You can do with it what you will. And after I'm done staring at it, I go and I port back to Orgrimmar. So the next part, you have to have the Shadow Weave mask. So before you end up flying out to Deepholm, make sure you get one. But the Deepholm portal is up the Valley of Wisdom. You can definitely buy Shadow Wave masks off the auction house. There are always at least a few being sold because people are still trying to get this mount. So from the Deepholm building, you're going to fly out, and then we're going to fly north into an area I haven't discovered yet. So while you're flying, make sure you equip the shadow weave mask, or you can equip it before you head out here or when you get down into the cave. As long as you get it before a certain part, you're good. Watch out for this guy. He will spit you right back out at the beginning where you started. This pile of rocks seems to have been okay for me, but this other pile was not. But I did get lucky enough that it spat me out on top of the rocks instead. So I just went back a little bit before he came back around, came into this room, and you are looking for a fissure on the ground, which is right here. Go ahead and click on that while you're wearing the shadow weave mask. You will get ported into the deep cavern. There is a skull hanging out on a chair. You click on that and then the scroll will pop up on the ground. Easy peasy. Let's go ahead, click that, and head back to Orgrimmar. So from Orgrimmar, we are going to take the Zeppelin out to Stranglethorn Vale. This is the easiest way for us to get to Noborgon. And you no longer need the Shadow Weave mask, but it's soulbound to you, so you can either keep it around or you can sell it or do whatever you want with it. There is a little transporter right here. You go ahead and take that. And then you're going to follow the path that I take. So I am including a map from the method guide site, and I didn't necessarily find it very useful when I was actually doing it, so I'm keeping my map up for you guys the entire time, so that way you can follow me probably a little bit easier. I noticed that the map from the method website is of the entire place, which isn't really tremendously helpful. So once you get to this particular spot, I'm just retracing my steps right now. You are going to make sure that the numbers on each of these terminals, I'm going to call them, is at the appropriate number. It will display the number for you when you actually click on it, and you have the option to increase or decrease it. So go ahead, you just fly on through this guy, and you make sure all the numbers match up to the picture, and I'm going to leave the picture up for you until I have completed the entire thing. Alright, so once they all close on you, the scroll's going to pop up on the ground. You click on that one, and we're going to port to our next place. Gonna go to New Dalaran. Yay! Alright, so once we are in New Dalaran, we are going to take the flight path to Val Shura via the Starsong Refuge. So we're going to fly out there, and once you land, we are going to head to the coordinate 6636. It is a little bit north from this flight path. Took me a little while to find it, I'm not going to lie. But we're heading up there. So I first made the mistake of going into the cave, which is not at all what we want to do. Don't go into that cave. Instead, from this point, you are going to go up this little hill, and there is going to be a weird brain-looking type thing, and it is going to spawn this very, very weird puzzle type thing, and basically the goal is to have every single line be blue, and when it's blue it means it is not intersecting or crossing with another line. So you're just going to keep clicking on pairs of the dots and it will switch their position. So that way you actually get to figure out what the heck is going on. I can't guarantee you whether or not each of these puzzles is going to be identical or not. If they are, feel free to do exactly what I did. I got the hang of it pretty quickly once I figured out what was going on. So it wasn't too hard. Took me only a few minutes to actually get it done. And then below, the scroll will pop up and you can go ahead. So next up is going to be our last and final puzzle. The horrible, horrible puzzle. So you want to get out to Miss of Pandaria. You want to get out to that area. You can do it from New Dalaran in the portals down below where Wormrust and all those other ones are. And it'll send you out to one of the main cities here. Or you can take the portal I took in Orgrimmar. Either of those two will work. So I flew out to one keg and then I flew north. Don't go into this bottom one. That is the wrong one to go into. What you want to do is go to the one that's actually right above it. And you're going to fly in here and you are going to talk with the urn full of ashes. You're going to click on the little chat bubble and you're going to click yes. As disturbing as it is. Alright, so for the Endless Halls puzzle, this is where I highly recommend the Lucid Nightmare Helper. It is a wonderful way of being able to track the runes, the orbs, any dead end areas, any room like doorways you cannot go through. I used them so that I could. So some tips for this. It seems like all of your things are going to be within a 20 by 20 room grid. It looks bigger than that, but if you notice, some of the colors and things that I did overlap. So that makes me think that all the rooms kind of meld together. One will transport you into the other end of the starting area of sorts and stuff. It's really weird. So it definitely seems like it is on a 20 by 20 grid to keep it a little bit more concise for you guys. Another piece of advice, do not turn in any orbs to the runes until you have found them all. That was something that I goofed up the first time. I spent 2 hours. I got the first 4 colors, all of them but pink, done in like 20 minutes. I was shocked. But I spent 2 hours basically looking for the second half of the pink color to get the rune to the orb to the rune. So that was horrible. A horrible, horrible mistake. Do not do that unless you want to go bonkers. I have some guildies who it has taken them at least 10 hours to be able to finish this. So just keep these things in mind. And I would also kind of recommend getting a piece of paper too, so that way you can map everything out that way. Feel free to reset this stuff as much as possible. Nothing's going to reset unless you go AFK. If you go AFK or if you leave, everything resets. Everyone's puzzle is different and unique, so you will not be able to follow mine. You will not be able to follow exactly what I did and be able to solve this puzzle for yourself in like 30 minutes, let's say. That's not going to happen. I had been in here 3 separate occasions. I have a toddler, so that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for me. But my biggest hints to you guys is to have this add-on. It was immensely helpful for me. Remember that is going to be a 20 by 20-ish like grid. Some doorways, if you go through them, you cannot go back through, which I thought was really weird. And then there is the possibility of reaching a room where you can't go anywhere but through the doorway you came in on. So those are some things. And then the last thing is do not collect any of your orbs and turn them into their corresponding runes until you have discovered them all. And now what I'm doing is I am going through and I am finishing turning in all of the orbs to their respective runes. I had used paper as well to keep track of everything. Once I was able to figure out where everything was, it made it so much easier. And I was really grateful to myself. Even though I still spent 2 hours in here doing this, it was the best 2 hours I could have spent in here because I figured it out. And I really hope you guys have a much easier time than I do. I really hope you guys don't spend 10 hours in here trying to get this puzzle done. So, yeah, that would be terrible. That would be so terrible. So, as horrible of a nightmare this puzzle truly is, it is very doable. But like I said, just take the hints. Take the hints, please. You'll save yourself some sanity. Alright, so once you turn in the last rune, orb to the rune, I should say, you can go through any doorway you want to from that room, and it will magically port you to a colored room that is not so dark and dreary, and there will be a scroll on the table for you. Let's go ahead and click on that, and then we are going to take our last portal to our final destination. So I chose to go to Dalaran because that is the fastest way to get to Karazhan, in my opinion. Probably a lot of other people's opinions too. So you're just going to go down underneath the middle of the city into the land of portals. Go all the way down, and Karazhan is going to be on your right, immediately on your right. I wasn't sure where it was, so I kind of scanned the room. But there it is. Go ahead and go through that portal. And so what you're going to do is you're going to fly over to the west. You're going to fly almost directly west. And you're going to go into this catacomb over here. And so you're going to follow my pathway down in here. I spent a good amount of time looking for the exact spot myself so I can make it as easy as possible for you guys. So you're going to go down the hall, go down to the right, follow the pathway, go ahead and turn left. Follow this path all the way down, and then you're going to turn left. At the next opening, you're going to turn left again. You are going to skip the first hole, open up the gate, and fall down into this hole. And then you're going to go through the larger door opening, go down the staircase, and on the big giant pile of bones will be your reward. So go ahead, find that mount in your inventory, collect that bad boy, maybe do a fun little dance. Come on. There we go. Do a fun little dance. Give yourself a good pat on the back. You did some hard work. Port to your place of choice. Hopefully you're outside. And get on your newly acquired mount. Not from your inventory anymore. So, oh yes. So, thanks guys for watching. I hope this video helps you out immensely. And enjoy your new mount. Thanks for watching, guys.